Hey, what's going on, everybody? Out here in the garage again today. It's been a couple weeks since my last video. Last video was just me some talking. Wasn't anything terribly interesting. So what I got going on today is my truck. It's been due for an oil change for quite a while now, and it needs fuel filters too. Now, I've kind of been putting it off because I have a sump that is actually down on the bottom of my fuel tank. It is great for extracting every bit of fuel out of the tank. Unfortunately, whenever I go to change the fuel filters, gravity does its thing, and unless I am running extremely low on fuel, it just pours out of the aftermarket lift pump and the fuel line there. So yesterday what I did was I took the truck to work, took a few minutes and installed a shutoff valve on the bottom side of the tank, and I'll go ahead and show that here in a second. But yeah, so I'm gonna clean a couple things up out of this garage, move out the four-wheelers, lawnmower, and clear up the floor so I can get the truck nosed in here and drop the oil. Now we'll go over some of the typical specifications as to change the oil here on the truck, but what's normal for me isn't going to be normal for everybody else, and I'll get into that a little bit here in a bit. But that's about it. I just wanted to shoot a quick intro. Also, I'm standing in a portion of my garage that otherwise was all cluttered up. Get here at an angle here, and right up there, I actually just built some shelves. Now everything is just neatly packed away in some totes up on the shelves, out of the way. Slowly but surely, I'm getting the garage to a usable condition. I eventually, it'll probably be a winter project, finish that wall there so it'll be framed out, insulated, have all the electricity and the outlets that I need, kind of like I've done with the wall behind you and then the back wall there in the shop. I've also got to move around the workbench that I got behind all that extra building material, and I'm probably going to put that workbench right here next to the air compressor. I've got 220 outlet there, but actually before I even get started with that, I got some welding I need to do. I'm gonna break out the MIG welder, break out the TIG welder. There's a stainless filter basket for work that has split because the filter sock was plugged, and the pump just overpressured it, split the basket wide open. So I'm gonna throw some quick beads on it. It's stainless, so I need to use the TIG. And then I got a hydraulic cylinder for a personal project that has sprung a leak. The guys agreed to let me use his little mini excavator if I fix it. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be getting into. I'm gonna take care of that real quick, and then I'll get back with everybody when the truck's nosed in the garage here. Got our bucket pump topped off, 1540, and got our drain bucket there. I'm getting ready to drop the oil, and I got my drain pan there for my oil filter already. I had mentioned previously that oil change on my truck isn't going to be quite the same as a factory truck. What I mean by that, and the reason I say that, is I have a pack brake oil filter relocation kit installed on the truck. And if you look up in there, you can see the blue hoses. They run up to a filter sandwich that then allows me to put my oil filter right up here in the front corner, behind the bumper and the inner fender well. So before I get started, I'm going to go ahead and get some Lucas mixed up. So the system capacity is supposed to be 12 quarts. So Lucas recommends a 20% mixture. Lucas isn't necessary, that's just what I grew up with. We had a C15 and a Peterbilt for over-the-road trucking, and my dad and I did pretty much all the repair work and maintenance and everything like that to it, and we never had any problems with it. May or may not have been due to the Lucas, but like I said, we grew up with it. I'm rather partial to it. I know a lot of people prefer STP. At that point, it's really a matter of preference. They all kind of do the same thing. So I believe I've used already about a quart out of this for my wife's car. So at 20%, it's about 2.3 quarts, about 3 quarts. So we're just going to go ahead and pump some 1540 in that, shake it up a bit, make sure it gets a nice mix. That way it is set and ready whenever it's time to fill the truck. Kind of hard to do with one hand. Obviously I don't want to make a gigantic mess, so let's go ahead and get you set up here. Now you can pour the Lucas straight in. You don't have to add engine oil to it. This just helps it flow a little bit better. Lets you actually put a accurate quantity in your engine instead of just kind of guessing. So just give it a good shake, mix it up, let it sit, and you can kind of just go about your business. So quick peek at the pack brake system here. So that's where my oil filter's at now. All it does is it gives you this bracket here that mounts underneath your sway bar mount. So whenever you buy the kit, hoses are already pre-made. They give you really nice hydraulic hoses, crimped ends, and you just take your old filter off, install the sandwich plate, hook up your fittings, make sure that you pay attention to rub points, and then assemble your bracket. You drop your sway bar mount down, slide the back bracket underneath, and then you know, retorque your fasteners there. But no, super simple, super convenient. Puts your filter down in a spot where you don't make a tremendous mess, or at least allows you to be able to capture said mess. And so factory, you're not really gonna be able to see it too well, but there is a drain port in this plastic shroud here. That is their answer to their poor engineering. So the factory filter location is pretty much straight through there. You can see where that one blue line makes the 90 and it goes vertical. And so they give you this nice little window right here between your AC lines to fish your oil filter out. But the issue is, in order to fish your oil filter out, you almost have to bring that thing 100% parallel, if not slightly downhill. So then you just pour oil everywhere. Like I said, their solution was that nice little piece of plastic down there to catch the oil. So you had some place to put a catch pan and at least kind of mitigate the mess. I made one oil change straight from the factory, and I was not a fan of it, and that's whenever I opted for the relocation kit, and never looked back since. So again, another issue, well, I don't really say another issue, but another reason that this service isn't going to be typical to anybody else's. I have an airdog fuel system under the truck. You can see the two-way filters there. So the factory setup has a fuel filter right next to your fuel tank, up underneath the bed, and then has another fuel filter up here in the engine bay, down back there behind your intake horn. Again, it's kind of a pain to get to. Filters are expensive, and you know, ultimately a lot of this is just, it's convenience. If you're going to be doing the own maintenance on your vehicle, why not make it easy on yourself? I don't really have too much of a preference for oil filters. They all pretty much do exactly what they say they're going to do. Big thing is I'm just not a fan of Frank. I guess I just contradicted myself there, being a fan of anything. But big thing is good filter media. That little steel core thing there, frame, last I knew, used cardboard. That may have changed. Like I said, it's ultimately it's preference. You know, they advertise and make some pretty significant claims about you know, being good for up to 20,000 miles or 1 year. Each engine's different. Just because something's printed on a box doesn't necessarily mean that it applies to you or your engine. The only way that I would ever trust that kind of figure is if I was pulling oil samples to get an idea, like lab analysis, as to, you know, what kind of condition my oil's actually in. Basically, that's just saying that within a year of running this thing, they're saying that this synthetic blend media, and because it is a synthetic blend and not necessarily a paper media, it's not going to break down in that 1 year or 20,000 miles. Now, that's not to say that this thing won't plug in that amount of time and just completely bypass the filter completely. So what I mean by that is these are all designed that there's a spring here in the bottom, and the filter media that you can see down through there in your steel core will move out of the way. These filters, they are not a 100% filtration filter. They will bypass. They are a bypass filter, and that is because you don't want to starve your engine for oil, regardless if it's dirty or not. Dirty oil is far less harmful to the engine than no oil at all. So just educate yourself, know your filter, know your product, know the claims. Doesn't always mean that just because they say 20,000 miles or up to a year, that that applies to you and your application. Now, when they make claims like this, 99% efficiency, you'll always see like these asterisks here, and that literally gives them an out to these claims that they are, quote unquote, not at liability. Since the kit does make this a low point in the system, you're always going to have a little bit of oil left over in the lines. So when you loosen the filter, automatically it's going to drain some. It's going to overflow the filter, and you know, that's the way we got the catch pan right there. We'll let that drain. Go ahead and crawl underneath this thing with a bucket to the engine oil sump and get that draining. So on the automotive Cummins 5967, your drain plugs are just the square head ratchet of a 3/8. They usually have a pretty good seal on them, so you don't need to really crank down on them. Tricky part is, although the 5-gallon bucket does fit, it doesn't give you much room to actually get the plug back out whenever it's done draining. Again, the capacity is 12 quarts, so you definitely want to make sure you got a bucket that is big enough. You know, 3 gallons, that drain pan over there, that's a, I believe a 2.5 gallon pan, and that's right at the brim. So, you know, if you're buying stuff at your typical automotive parts store, you know, definitely pay attention to the fine details there, or else you're going to have one heck of a mess to deal with. I gotta go get a rag for this plug. Now, sitting at about 5,000 miles on this oil, and I mean, diesel's diesel, oil's going to be black no matter what you do. But it doesn't look too bad. It when it thins out, it kind of gains back some of its transparency. So soot load actually really isn't that terrible. Now the truck is tuned, so you always end up increasing the amount of soot load whenever you tune a truck. So if this thing says, say, 5,000 miles to an oil change, if you tune it, depending on what tune you're running, if it happens to be a little smoky, you should definitely look into shortening your service interval. Just that way the oil has a chance to continue to protect your engine before it gets too much particulate suspended in it. Alright, drain plug's back in and torqued. It's time to start filling the engine up. I want to get the Lucas there sitting on the engine bay to start filling, draining into the engine. It's going to take a little while. It's pretty thick, kind of cold out. It's only about 60 degrees right now. That's why I mix a little bit of oil in it, try to speed it up. So while that's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and get the new oil filter on, wipe everything down where the oil leaked, clean it up. That way if I have any leaks, I can actually tell if it's old or new. And then go ahead and get the fuel filters changed too. So another consideration, small oversight on my part, when I installed the fuel sump in my fuel tank, I didn't put a shutoff valve on the sump itself. So anytime that I actually need to service the fuel filters on this thing, I actually have to basically run my tank empty. Other than that, it just bleeds straight through the pump, and it's kind of a pain. But anyways, I've remedied that issue. I went ahead and installed a valve probably a week ago, maybe the beginning of the week. I lose track of time pretty easy. So yeah, here we go. So I got a little ahead of myself. I missed the part pouring the Lucas in. What I have now is the end of the barrel pump just snaked into the oil fill port. The barrel pump's nice because I don't have to actually worry about a funnel. I don't have to worry about holding the bucket up. But the downside is that it pumps pretty slow. So it's going to take me a while. I'll probably be here the next 5 or 10 minutes or so. The beauty of editing is that you guys don't have to actually deal with that. Since the oil filter is actually pretty close to the lowest part in the system now, and being in the front fender well, it allows me the luxury of pre-filling the filter. That way it takes about a second or so off of the engine actually seeing oil. Splitting hairs, I guess, maybe. The oil film that's in the engine itself, you know, should protect the engine. Now, these filters alone, I'm not entirely sure if they would be subjected to the possibility, but sometimes when there is a inrush of fluid to a dry filter material, it can actually collapse a filter. Alright, we're up to doing the fuel filters on the truck. These are going to be OEM airdog fuel filters. There are crosses for these. I have not had fantastic luck with the said crosses. I've always ran an OEM secondary final fuel filter, but I've tried to use different water separators, and I hadn't had good luck. I bought a Napa replacement, and right out of the box the Napa leaked at the crimp, or the petcock, for the water drain. And then we got the fuel filter secondary here. This is your fine filter. This has like a wire mesh in it, a fine screen to say. It doesn't let water pass through it, so it allows the water to collect in this filter, allows the fuel to pass through it and over into this filter. This filter here is under suction. This filter here is under pressure. This is your going to be your fine filter. I believe airdog is a 4, maybe a 2 micron filter, and also the airdog has a straw that goes down into the filter itself, and do some type of black magic, it separates the entrained air or suspended air in the diesel fuel, so that when it goes to the engine, it is 100% clean and 100% air free. So the yellow handle that you see there in the frame is the shutoff valve that I installed on the sump. And the sump, it just allows you to draw fuel directly from the bottom of the tank. So we're going to start just by shutting the valve. You can see, no, maybe not. One of these is an original airdog, and then the one is the Fleet Guard fuel water separator. In case, you know, you guys have one, want to run this number, it's FS19768. Go ahead and get the filters loose, and then I'll get the bucket over here and get them drained. Pretty straightforward. Before I forget, turn that back on. Now, the beauty of newer engines, electronics, you don't have to bleed anything. If that was a mechanical engine, I would be filling the filters before I put them on. help with priming, and then I would have to go up to the front of the engine, crack a line, turn the pump on until I got pure fuel going to the injection pump, and then there's a good possibility on startup that we won't run into any issues. But now if you don't do that with a mechanical engine and you just push air into the system, you'll be stuck bleeding all the injectors. So the 6.7s, the newer 5.9s, they have a constant return fuel system. So I can cycle my key and push fuel up to the injection pump, and it will pick up prime. It'll bleed the lift pump. It'll bleed clean up to the CP3 injection pump, and I don't have to worry about any of that. I had to go get the keys. Wherever I may have set them. Ruh-roh. There they are. So I still don't have the oil in this thing yet. I'm not going to start it. I'm just going to cycle the key so the lift pump primes itself. It always helps too when you have gauges. So that one right there is my fuel pressure. We're getting there. There we go. All right, we're all primed up. So the CP3 doesn't really like pressures above 15-ish PSI. I don't know actually how accurate that gauge is, but I've seen it a little bit in excess of 20. It doesn't go much above that. That is the AirDog 165 on-demand fuel pump. So it continuously just bypasses fuel until the CP3 needs said fuel. The CP3, unless it's delivering fuel, doesn't actually need a whole ton of fuel to continue to operate and live. The P pumps, not so much. The old mechanical pumps, they relied on the fuel to keep them cool and keep them lubricated. I mean, the same can still be said about the CP3, but they just don't need quite as much. So all that's left is sitting here pumping that excessively, checking the engine oil, and I'm running out of time. Ideally, this thing is also due for a filter service. I need to pull the filter, need to clean it, oil it, and reinstall it. That is now just going to have to wait. Like I said, I just don't have time for that. Alrighty, off to pumping. Alright, so engine oil is pumped in. I've lost my keys again. Never mind, found them. Safety first, you never want to start an engine without oil. So there's our fuel pressure. And just like that. Fuel pressure's working some air bubbles out of it, as you can see, but the engine's running fine. 44 pounds of oil pressure. And fuel pressure's steady. Quiet as can be. I would say that's a success. Going to go ahead and shut it down, let the oil level rest, double check the oil level, and then that should be that. So I know this is pretty straightforward, maybe even a little boring. I tried to bring as much information as I can, try to make it a little entertaining, but I'm just trying to create content. You know, get out there, get some subscribers, get some watch time in, and then you know, hopefully I can get to some more interesting stuff. You know, I still got these, haven't done anything with them yet. I don't think we're going to get to ride this year. Like I said in the previous video, we have a newborn, 6 months old now, about 20 pounds, and she's cute as a button. But being new parents, you know, priorities first. You know, you take care of your kid, take care of your family, and sometimes the toys just have to sit. Now, what you've seen me do so far is kind of survival. You know, you keep up with maintenance, you can't neglect that stuff. Got to keep up with the house, and you know, just make sure that everything you work for stays nice. You know, there's no point in pouring your heart, your soul, blood, sweat, tears into stuff and then just letting it go to crap because you just didn't put the extra effort into it. So that being said, you know, I mentioned a little earlier that it's about 60 degrees out, so fall is in full swing. We got leaves changing, weather's getting kind of crappy again, so I won't be doing much outside. Don't know what I'm going to do with the four-wheelers, if anything, during the winter. But what I will do, hopefully, is finish the wall in the garage. And then I got this back here that has been sitting. And I know go-karts are pretty popular on YouTube right now. I don't necessarily want to just jump on the bandwagon, but I've had that thing for about 3 years, and I've put a little bit of money into it. Well, I lied. Put a lot of money into that thing, and put a little bit of work into it. It's got a little further to go. I pretty much have all the parts I need to finish it. It's just time and interest. So if you guys wouldn't mind seeing something like that, you know, let me know. Drop a comment, give me some feedback. Let me know what I'm doing that you guys like. Let me know what I'm doing that you don't like. And we'll go from there. But as far as that goes, from the factory, the brakes haven't been great. And my wife almost blew through a red light probably about 2 weeks ago. So that has kind of sped up my timeline. So there is a box right there. And I got a couple of boxes in the house that I need to bring out here, but nothing's been opened. I'll go ahead and do an unboxing of it. But yeah, just saying it's brake related is a hint. I know, so exciting, so cryptic. That's the word I'm looking for, cryptic. So yeah, just drop a like, comment, subscribe. Give me a little bit of feedback. Let me know what I'm doing, if I'm doing anything right at all, that is. And no, I like hearing from everybody, if I hear from anybody. Appreciate it, guys.